2022. It's 5:33 p.m. I know we didn't get the minutes out in time, so we can't approve the minutes, so we'll skip over that to street sign requests, if any.
No.
No street sign requests? Okay, it's not bad over 2 months, all right?
Yeah.
Traffic and infrastructure updates?
So for the infrastructure, we, the small grant that we put in for South Street Bridge got approved. July 13th, we got notified for phase 1 of the grant. I don't know yet how much we've been given. We can get up to a maximum of 100,000, which goes directly to the engineers. So I won't know that until they reach out. Hopefully after that, we'll get started on the phase 2 portion, which is the construction. Because we do want to try to get a fall of 2023 date. And the maximum for that is 500,000. So we're going to try to get the most of that. That's where we're at. The paving that we're hoping to do on Randall Road and Peach Hill Road, it's kind of at a standstill because with Margaret leaving, she was in the process of doing the IFPs, so they haven't been finished to even be put together. So hopefully in the next week or two, I think she's coming back to tie things up. So hopefully we can get them, maybe get on the schedule and get some paving done this year.
Where is that, Fred, that paving?
It's gonna be Randall Road.
Oh, Randall,
Yeah, Randall Road from Highland Street inward to, just past Hickey Foster's old house to, the previous joint. Highland Street is gonna go from the Highland, Randall intersection to the town line. And if there's time, Peach Hill is gonna go from Baker to the town line.
North.
Yes. So hopefully that all is true. That's all I have.
All right, a review of complete streets prioritization plan.
That's something that we gotta somehow get that blown up because it's so small and you really can't read it. Unless it's in sections. I'm not sure how to get that off the computer to get it bigger.
Is that the Excel chart?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You trying to print it?
Yeah,
You're gonna have to print it on big format paper.
right. And I
Do we have it, do we have that around?
Not
I
that I'm aware
know
of.
our Xerox might do 11 by 17, but, I mean, that's
Pretty tough, yeah.
it's still gonna be tough. It's still gonna be tough to get that. It's gonna be a bigger
Hey
sheet.
Keith, you got any big format printing?
I don't.
Oh, jeez.
No.
You're the most likely that in the room. He is.
I don't know if that's something that can be put on the drive, but they're like.
At work?
Yeah, like those 4-footers.
That's an idea, that might work, yeah.
We
Yeah.
do.
I may have it in a large format to begin with, and if I do, I could take it to somebody and say, print me some more. Why don't I do that? Because that would make life easier.
Oh,
We
yeah.
might have a printed copy that's.
Yeah, because I mean, I worked on the Complete Street stuff back when we first got it sent to the state.
Yeah, because there's a lot of information on it. You can pull up what you're trying to read, but you're scrolling for like 4 pages
Yeah.
across. But
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right, and then obviously I have in front of you the statistical data from our radar signs from all three. More specifically for the audience that hears today is for Carter Street. I know we.
First sheet 62?
Yeah, the first sheets were at 62.
Okay.
Yeah. I know we had put up stop signs a few months back. Thinking the stop signs would be, help with traffic in that area. I think the signs speak for themselves. Traffic going northbound, 99.82% of the vehicles are traveling within a reasonable speed, and traveling southbound, 97.08% of the cars are traveling at a decent speed too. Just note that, the Carter and Highland speed sign is actually in the 30-mile-an-hour zone. So, we're at, 0.34% of could possibly write citations to for speeding. Out of all the vehicles, so like 11,000 cars that the speed signs picked up on. I want to open up the floor to the residents in Carter Street regarding the stop signs. You know, they were put up there for a temporary basis. That's why we never painted lines on the road or painted stop on the road, because that's the stuff that's not gonna go away if we take them down. So, you know, I think we should discuss that further, see that we have the data from the signs, and get some community input on it. You know, I'm due to speak with the select board Monday night, and I have to give them a report on this.
Can you, what period of time?
So this right here was June 7th to July 6th. This one right here. And I went out today and I reset all the boards to get fresh data so I can start pulling it weekly.
And the signs went up on what date?
Let's say May 11th, I think they went up. Yeah, this
So
is,
all this data is with the sign?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, I mean, I was over 300,000 cars on 62, and like the numbers were getting too far spread, and the pie chart numbers were looking like little tiny lines, so I wanted to narrow it down to at least a month.
Yep.
And that way it actually opened up the pie chart, so you could actually see it better, because if I left all the data on there, 99.9% of these pie charts would be green. So that's why I wanted to open it up to a smaller section. That's why today, I went out today, I don't know if you guys saw me, I went out today, I reset all the signs and wiped all the data off them so we can start fresh again with the data, and I can go out there weekly. And, yeah, because it was looking, when I printed out the first pie chart, when you try to put 361,000 cars on a pie chart, you know, it gets very, you know, it's, looking at it, it looks like there's no issues whatsoever. But then when you narrow it down, you start seeing the pie chart open up.
So Chief, the data we're looking at on this page is all
For
after...
1 month.
1 month after the stop signs are in place.
After the stop signs were in place.
So, and then for 62, that's not as in the
Yeah,
on Carter
yeah,
Street. This is
yeah,
all,
correct, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so of course, you know, we want input from the residents as whether the signs are helping with traffic or making it worse. Jeff?
I don't know if they're helpful enough. I don't see, I know that the noise is at least double in front of my house, and I think the exhaust, the air pollution is much worse as well. What happens if people do stop, which is pretty rare, most of them slow down, they accelerate at such a speed going up that I feel like it's much worse. The noise and the air pollution it's much worse than it's ever been. I think those flashing signs, you know, they slow me down. I think they work really well. More than the stop signs.
Up next, the flashing signs, I think, help. I know it helps me in other neighborhoods when I travel. I don't know about other people, but it catches my attention. I look down at my speedometer, you know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm doing, it's supposed to be 20 and I'm doing 25 or whatever. So I do think those signs work. The stop signs in front of my house, freaking horrible. Horrible. Mostly because of the noise. I work out of my house, so I spend a lot of time in the home, and I try to judge in my head, okay, if a vehicle just was just going through it, there's a lot less noise than when they come to a complete stop. That's what I'm finding. When they come to a complete stop, then it's human nature, and I think this was discussed before, they gotta put the pedal to the metal to get back up,
Right.
to get their extra 3 seconds back. They just lost from coming to a stop. So they go blasting up the hill, or they go blasting down Central Street, back up to the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit or whatever. I don't know what to say. The traffic, there's a lot of traffic. You just mentioned those numbers, I couldn't believe it. But there's got to be another way to slow people down besides those stop signs. That's my input.
I love the stop signs. I love the stop signs. They make people stop. I mean, a lot of people do just go right through them, but they at least slow down more than they do with the flashing signs. I mean, I've had my dog's been hit, my cat's been hit, my cat got squished. There was a rollover that happened in front of my house. It's a crazy road for being such a small road, and I love those stop signs.
Well, the guy had a heart attack. Well, it's not really a fair statement.
Yeah, yeah. That was a medical issue, yeah. But, yeah.
Can I ask a question? I just want to clarify, so that, I was just looking at the numbers that you were going over. Since the signs went up June 7th to July 26th?
This is June 7th to July 6th. This is the
Sixth.
data for
Okay.
1 month,
Six.
after the stop signs went up.
Okay. And when I look at the original one that you sent out, that one under 30 miles an hour was 97.52% of the people slowed down within 10 miles an hour of the speed limit before we put stop signs in. And then after we put stop signs in, 88.81%.
Yeah, that one actually included this month too. That was the total from May 11th to July 6th, and I narrowed it down to just this one alone. I narrowed it down. I probably should have printed out a second sheet up until June, whatever. But like I said, we had so many cars. The data was, to me, got skewed because when you looked at the pies, it was all green and just little slivers of yellow. But then when you narrow it down to a month, you get more yellow and you get more of an objective look at it, where you can actually see more cars. We're in the 31 to 35 range. I think the numbers just got too large with the first ones I sent out.
So it's 8% is in the 31 to 35 range?
Yeah, within that month, after the stop signs.
Okay. Sorry, I thought when you were saying, I thought you had Route 62 mixed in with that, and that's why.
Yeah, no, Route 62 is, I mean, we're in the 300,000, over
Yeah, that's what I
400,000
thought, okay.
range. And that pie chart was ridiculous when I put all the data together, so I actually did one for Route 62 as well.
Okay.
That shows that Route 62, 98.24% of the vehicles are within a normal speed range.
Well,
Well, the thing that confuses me is the way that you're saying that data is collected by the flashing sign, but it's after we put the stop signs in.
Yes.
Almost to infer that the
Yeah,
stop
well,
signs
we-
are what are slowing people down.
No, I mean, these signs
I
are
don't
picking
want-
people up hundreds of yards before they even see a stop sign.
Okay,
They can't even see a stop sign when they
Okay.
see, when these signs are collecting the data, they can't even
Yeah.
see stop signs.
okay.
So
So that's-
I don't even think that the stop signs even have a impact on this data,
Okay.
because this data is well before you would actually see a stop sign.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That was a question I had, I was wondering if the speeds that are captured are when they pass the sign? or-
No, so it's like the Carter and Highland one,
Yeah.
the speed would probably catch it near Ann's house.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I would echo what I've heard is that the flashing signs, because it's not only in our town, in other towns,
Yeah.
they just show me that I'm going too fast, and now that we have this issue in our own community, I'm led to even slow down when I see it in another community, because it's like, why am I speeding? Well, part of it is because everyone in front of me is speeding.
Yeah,
know?
you're just keeping up with the flow of traffic.
Right, but it's so, it makes me really realize that in my vehicle, I've got a big pickup, I can't even to go 20 miles an hour, seriously, I can't even hardly accelerate,
Yeah.
to stay at 20.
Yeah.
So I try to, but I look behind me when I'm coming up Carter Street, and I see the cars
Yeah.
backing up behind me, because I'm trying to go the posted speed limit, and, but I think that they make a difference, and it's really just me, because I don't work at home. I didn't think there was a need for any of this, personally. I didn't see a need for this from the beginning. I mean, there's more traffic, but there was traffic, I don't know. So I don't really know about the sound, because it's amazing the difference between Walter's house is 2 from mine, Jeff is 3 from mine, Anna's is up the hill, so I don't really know. At my house, what I notice is when there's multiple cars backing up. And then you often look at each other and go, is everyone okay? Like, is somebody hurt, is somebody in the road? It isn't about the traffic, it's about why are they stopping, so.
So it's just creating congestion, is that your point? With the stop sign.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if there's other suggestions that can be put on the floor for slowing the traffic down between the signs. Not the stop signs, between the flashing signs. Are there any other ideas out there? We threw the speed bump idea out there. I know that's one.
I think Chrissy wanted to say something before we
No.
move on to that.
No, it's fine. No, keep
But I do respect Emily's view on it, because, I mean, she has 2 little babies, and we play in the yard. We tell them not to play in the front yard. But, dogs and cats, they get hit, and the guys are going kind of fast. And without the stop signs, yes, they're going a lot faster. Now I have a noise problem. Before I had a speed problem, now I have a noise problem. So I guess I'm looking for other ideas, wisdom,
That's what I was
guidance.
gonna tap in on, is the noise, because I do work from home 5 days a week, so the noise is unbelievable. I can't open my windows, ever, if I'm working, because it's the trucks and the traffic, it's just all day long, it's there. The other thing I was gonna just mention is that when I am on my bicycle, and I know that's a big bicycle route, it picks up my data on that, so there's a lot of bicycle data on that.
Yep.
Just
Well,
like-
you gotta remember, bicycles fall into the same chapter and section as
Right.
cars too.
I kind of race it to see if I can get to it.
But we know going 45 through there on your bike.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's actually why our citations have non-motor vehicle checkboxes.
Oh, okay.
That's also can be issued to bicycles as well.
Chief, are you going around the room for comments, or what are we doing here? I don't want to skip Anna.
I would say as a resident, the stop signs for me as a driver don't make a huge difference. I'm gonna say I don't care. They don't affect me as a driver. Sometimes I like to stop really hard and sit there for a while so that the oncoming traffic feels like they really have to stop, like I shame them into stopping. But other than the enjoyment of doing that, I certainly understand the noise, having been places where I've tried to work next to stop signs. Certainly they can get noisy and smelly for sure. For me, at my house, again, as a resident, I still have people speeding down the hill. Today, I had 2 instances. One in Carterville where a black F-150 passed me because
Oh,
I was
yeah.
doing 18 miles an hour, and he thought that was inappropriate.
Yeah, whoever he is, he's not a very nice person.
No. But he's not the guy who hit me
Echo
years ago when
Let me echo
they
it.
passed me.
I know the vehicle, yeah.
Did you and ran or did he stop?
No, he stopped, some guy several years ago. And then today on my way here, there was the Devon's fire truck that came, not the fire truck itself, but like the chief's vehicle, clearly labeled, and it came very fast down the hill, set those flashy signs off. I happened to pull out of my driveway just as he went winging by. And he did not slow down with the flashy signs, hit the stop sign, slammed on the brakes, zoomed through the stop sign, and was gone before I was close to the stop signs. And
Yeah,
that's the
he
sort
goes
of
by every
behavior I
day.
see all the time. coming from my-
Couple times
Driveway.
every day.
Yeah,
The Devon's
Devon's,
vehicle,
yeah.
yeah.
I see it too.
yeah. So for me, the stop signs have not been a solution to the problem. And as a member of the traffic board, I don't know I don't have good suggestions, but I do think we need some.
Can I just make one more statement? I think I said this last time, the last meeting, but I just want to make sure that it's documented within the town. And I hope that we just, people would consider it. I have what my doctor categorizes as a very severe lung disease, and I'm very concerned about, the diesel trucks and all the fuel and the exhaust and everything that is directly right in front of my house with these stop signs. And I just want it to be noted, I want it to be documented with the town, that, it's considered very severe, and that this is a very serious issue for me, that, that I have to deal with much more pollution due to these stop signs with my breathing.
Are speed bumps an option, like they are at Gates Pond Road?
Yeah, we looked into that. What were they, Freddie? What, 8,000?
When they were put in, they were just over $7,300 down at Gates Pond Road, but that was years ago.
Is that per pump?
I'm sorry?
Was
Is
that
that-
each or both?
Each. And with the price of hot top now, it's through the roof.
Right.
So you can add probably 15% off the top to them. I can find out and get you a good number.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry.
curious what the traffic safety, you guys have been doing this for years or months, longer than I have, whatever. What is reasonable, what do you think is reasonable when you look at the data? Because when I look at the data, I feel like it's reasonable. If 88 to 96% of the people are going on within 10 miles, that seems reasonable and fine to me. I don't really see a problem. But I just want to first get your opinions, and then people could say what they think. But I just want to see, what's like the police officer's opinion on that?
I mean, my opinion, I've talked to residents, I feel 20's too slow. It's almost impossible to do it. I feel that people mock it. I don't think they take it serious. I think 25 brings it down within a realm of reasonability in that area. I think the shotgun treatment of going very low created some animosity with some drivers, and it's just difficult. You know, the best people are the large trucks that are working, because they have CDL licenses, and the data and watching them, I've watched them in my own personal vehicle, no problems at all. Statistically, residents are the worst offenders. The people that'll do 20 there will do 48 to go to the dump, and I'm looking at some of the people here. So I would say 25 is reasonable in that area, but I want to go back to Walter about suggestions and empathetic to Emily. There never was a traffic committee, so you've come a lot farther in my long year career, so you've made some progress, you're trying different things, you're communicating, so I think we're moving forward. I'd like to see more signage as far as, you know, children live here. I look at other communities that do that. I personally think it's a waste to see our Las Vegas digital board advertising someone's Christmas lights came in third place to 300,000 commuters in the middle of Pleasant Central Street. If somebody pauses to see who won, we're going to have a head-on collision. That's my opinion. The select board oversees that. Maybe those could be at the other end of town, changing once in a while. We have children here. We enforce strictly, you know, and our officers that are very strict would see that, along with children live here, you know. I notice your signage, 'tis the season, I notice the different things, and you have to change it. So a consolidated campaign using the social media instead of complaining about the law enforcement or the town, maybe putting something positive out there saying, hey, you know, welcome to Berlin. When you're shopping or getting your farm products are coming through, we live here, thank you. You know, they're not doing their job and they're not doing this. So that's my suggestion, to continue, you know. And there's always going to be the offender that needs the maximum enforcement, so.
The truck companies have slowed down because I've called every single one. Every one of those truck companies I've called. When I see their trucks going up the street over 20 miles an hour.
And same thing, and when the
And-
critics
and
on social
so they
media.
have all come
Right.
down, which is nice, you
Right.
know, and I'm very nice about it. I'm
Yeah.
not being a jerk. I just call and say, please let your drivers know that this is a 20-mile-an-hour speed zone, you know, and they're very good about it.
And you're right, and when the residents or the social media says we're not doing our job, and I've been to the job site 5 times a week, I'm looking at progress, I'm looking at a place for my in-laws, and I'm talking to the drivers. And they all slow down. But you know, I didn't know that a certain fuel company delivered there once a week. I don't want to say the names. And he was an offender at 40 miles an hour. I didn't know that plaster was being delivered. I can't know that all the time. But the actual developer, the site contractors, electricians, plumbers, the national lumbers and things like that, I've personally spoken to them. They get coffee, I see them. Same thing coming through town when people get upset about the capping of the dump in Clinton. It's people think, why aren't you pulling them over? Because with my phone, I can talk to the superintendent in Clinton who gives them the contract, and he lets them know, knock it off or you'll lose the contract.
Yeah.
I can't do that as a police officer. So I try to go to the source, as he's doing too. So it's a collective group of people working to make it a safer community, you know. And I think everyone's doing a great effort, and just the show of seeing the participation happens. I don't want to, I mean, if I can address another, Pleasant Street, traffic Saturdays and Sundays. Drives me crazy. It's bumper to bumper within the speed because we all know the state's shortfall on 290. That's something to ask your candidates at these candidates tonight. We have no say in that, all right? And I got an idea. When I got stuck in a concert and I saw what Walpole and Foxborough did, I called them the other day and talked to each other. Said, hey, I heard you put on Waze and everything. How did you do that? How can I do that in Berlin to stop these thousands of cars from coming down Pleasant Street? What they did was they legally got permits to shut streets down around events, to actually close it to non-permitted people. Then they contacted, because these Waze and GPS and Googles have a First Amendment right to do this, but they gave them the information so that the signal came out. I just thought I would be a hero and say, Eric, I just got in touch with these companies and I shut down Pleasant Street. Well, I can't do that. So that's we're always looking for solutions collectively. So I ask all the residents to hit police on the little thing every time. And maybe that'll stop the people,
That's a great idea.
Oh, I'm totally gonna do that for my house.
It works, that works.
It does work. It does, typically on a Saturday or Sunday or Friday when 495 is shut down, we'll actually, when I was on the road, we'd actually take one of our spare cars and just park it down there with nobody in it. And then within minutes, Waze would have a police sign on it.
Yeah.
And then we'd basically leave a dead car in one spot, we'd park a quarter mile down the road.
Wow.
Didn't go abroad. I mean, I get dressed like a.
Yeah,
Like years.
We've watched that in the third declines, but back to, for me, 25 is reasonable, all right? 25 is 20's in a golf cart,
But I want to change the sign.
Yeah, but
Right,
to me,
well,
also,
I think if we
all the
put
signage
25,
has to
they'll
be,
go 35.
but the signage has to be proper, clearly marked,
Yes.
just like other things. I'm very frustrated, but it's not my professional opinion that all the other communities bought the proper signage and the poles to go with it. I'm climbing on a Verizon pole, and I think he asked me, because he thinks I'm the only one that won't sue, to change that every week or whatever, when all the other communities installed and spent the money to get the true solar one that met the standards. And I know that's gonna come back to bite me, but
No,
why do
we are waiting for the price to come back to make them all solar so we don't have to change the batteries.
Yeah, I think that's.
Because you gotta remember, this data from, June 6th to July 7th, there's probably 10 days where the machines weren't working.
Right.
Oh, is that why they fuzz out?
Yeah.
It's a
yeah,
battery.
Like, sometimes the batteries will go 2 weeks, sometimes they'll go 6 days, sometimes they'll go 8 days.
That's how fast people are driving.
Yeah, yeah.
So a conscientious neighbor could go up to a sign.
Wait.
and put
We all,
batteries in.
listen,
Yeah,
we all know liability and
it's
stuff,
one
you
of the-
can't.
yeah.
And it's like climbing that Verizon pole, you can't. But we're doing it because we, spend the right money. What's the value of a life? What's the value of quality of life? Without sign pollution, and get the clean, neat ones we see in other communities.
So, did that answer your question? Was there speed, or was it 83% of the people obeying the law is the?
Well, when I look at how many are, you're always gonna have people that bomb, like bomb down the street or whatever, but I just look at, it's a minuscule percentage, so I think the majority are following it, and I think it's come down a lot since we put in those signs. I love the idea of the children at play, and, you've been in the
Yeah, you see
communities, it
those
looks like a
signs,
toddler, it's
yeah.
like this little yellow toddler type of thing that's right on the street. I could get one of those in my yard, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a great idea, I love that idea, or that lighted sign at the library, because there's a lot of kids at school that go there after school or go for, things, so I think that's, I think good ideas that.
So I think it was a combination of the percentage and the, like, if the majority of people are going under 30, that's what it says, it's like, that's pretty amazing. I think, to me, it
Amazing.
is amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if you go, yes, 97.95% of that month going north on Walnut Street and coming down, say under 35, 97.08%, it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone where it's picking them up. But yeah, I mean, I think that the data shows that the majority of the people, but it's like anything, the very few are ruining it for everybody. The very few that we have issues with are ruining it, and You know, it's tough, you know, because, you know, I look at the stats, I say, okay, over the course of 30 days, we could have written 40 tickets. You know, here, we wrote 23, we could have wrote 63 tickets over the course of, you know, 40 days, but what time of day are they there? You know, I mean, we're gonna spend 8 hours to write one ticket, you know, potentially, you know, and more than likely that ticket's gonna go to court. And then,
I can give
you
you
know,
the hours.
Yeah,
I mean, it's.
yeah, yeah, so part of the graph did give me the hours, you know, of the time going through, but I'm not a fan of the way they actually do like a squiggly graph, and it gets so confusing. That's why I reset everything today, because I want to go back in a week, and instead of having, you know, 800 cars over a quarter-inch data, you know, I want, you know, 150 cars over an 8-inch page.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna spread out the times, it's gonna give me a better data that way, so. Yeah, like I said, we've hit it all times a day, you know, I check the log to make sure there's traffic enforcement in the area, and, you know, the officers there all times of the day, you know, sporadically between there and Pleasant Street, South Street, Lancaster Road, West Street, Central Street, you know, where all our major complaints are. So, you know, I mean, they have definitely done more radar operations over the last 6 months than we have in the past, but, you know, it's just trying to get them, you know, being there at the right time, right place, right time.
In your experience as an officer, is Highland Street speeding problem like worse than any other road in town?
No, it's actually, I think our biggest issue is South Street and Pleasant Street. Those are where probably 80% of our citations come from. There's such high volumes,
Where?
you know, South Street and Pleasant Street, much higher volume,
Yeah.
you know. But, yeah, that's all because the volume's higher.
Yeah.
So, I actually just got another sign in, and we're gonna try to decide whether it's gonna go South Street or Pleasant Street. We're teetering between the two, so.
Chief, on your data, I think the answer is no, but do you get any information on the type or size of vehicle?
No.
Right, I thought
No.
that was the case, yeah.
No, like I said, I mean, you can even pick up a bicyclist as long as they're going
Yeah.
fast enough and the mass is big enough, and it's actually that good of a radar in that sign
Right.
that it can pick up a bicyclist.
I want to put a few comments in on this whole situation because I live right by the southbound traffic, you know, stop sign, and I have found a huge positive change in Carterville with the stop signs in place. What I see, and I do work from home, I'm a part-timer, but I work from home, and I walk Carter Street quite a bit. I go back and forth to 19 Carter, mostly on foot, sometimes up Walnut Street too. So what I see is what I call the GPS, the suburban traffic, the cars.
Yeah,
They're coming to the stop sign, they're stopping. I'll call it suburban. What I identify as our local wise guys speed up through the stop signs, they don't stop. That's like the black.
F-150.
But there's vehicles, and I'm, you know, after a while you start to recognize them. And I'll take a little exception on the construction trucks. Some are good, some are not.
Well, as I said, I can't get every one of them, but
No, but I hear you, you know, they do have the licenses that they're gonna lose if they do the wrong thing, but some of them obviously don't care. And it's probably the minority, but they're doing it, and they're extremely dangerous because they can't stop, and they're big, you know. And I've reported just anecdotes of things you know, like a rig running a vehicle off the road, that kind of thing, taking the middle of the road at 35, 40 miles an hour and running a vehicle off. So the Koopman lumber people, they're not right. They don't do the right thing. Mata Construction came through today, white pickup truck, ran the stop sign, doing like 40.
Who was it?
Mata, M-O-T-A Construction. They're part of the Highland Ridge. So what I've observed over a period of time, the problem, a big chunk of what I see has to do with the Highland Ridge development. There's some other building going on up in the hill, but it's really Highland Ridge. And the big vehicles, and then the workers' vehicles that are coming through. So that's one set. Then you have the GPS commuter people, and as I said, they're pretty much obeying the stop sign. I don't see any reason why the police force in Berlin would ever write a ticket in that 20-mile-an-hour zone if somebody's doing 25, arguably even 30. But that's not that's not the problem I've observed. I've observed higher speeds. And it is, by the way, these data sound right to me, just from my observations, that the vast majority of people do the right thing, and then you have these kinds of numbers, and then these few outliers, I mean, those are extremely dangerous. The difference between Highland Street, Carter Street, and South and Pleasant is the width of the road and the construction of the road and the proximity of the houses. So it's extraordinarily dangerous because there's nowhere to go. So like if you're on Pleasant Street, you can run into Tim's field, maybe into his wall or something, right? But there's nowhere to go. And that rollover accident, you know, that person ended up in Barbara Spencer's, you know, knocked out of the wall. So that makes it dangerous in a way that these other places, even though the volume might be higher and the speed's higher, this particular part of town is, you know, it's just unsafe to have both the volume and then these, you know, these outliers in terms of speed. I don't expect to have officers ticketing there because I sit on the finance committee, I'm liaison here, and I know what the problem is with that. It doesn't make financial sense to be ticketing, but it does make sense to put in the controls we can. On the traffic trays, I have a vehicle that is low to the ground. I don't like to take it over them. If we do put traffic trays in, I'd ask you not to put them on Highland and to put them in the section between 62 and where Highland starts. If you're going to put them anywhere, please don't put them in front of my house. Don't put them on the
You
leg
can
of
put
Carter
it
that
right in
goes out.
front of 59.
That's right, put it right in front
I
of
think
59.
our biggest thing is that, you know, we learned from Gates Pond, you know, those residents wanted them, they demanded them, they got them, and I think they had buyer's remorse. Because they actually put them in front of people's homes.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, like, if we looked at traffic trays, we'd have to keep it as far away from people's homes because it does create more noise.
But I don't, you know, it's one thing in a parking lot. I think they're good in a parking lot. I don't think they're good on a roadway. And for the kind of vehicle I drive, you know, the big trucks, they just roll right over, there's no issue, but majority of vehicles are more like mine. And I think over time, it does a lot of damage to the vehicle. So I would like very much to see the stop signs made permanent on that intersection. I think they're working with respect to noise. The noisiest vehicles that I experience in my home when I'm walking are the vehicles where the exhaust system has been modified. So that, you know, the motorcycles are the loudest. I got a neighbor with that hot Dodge. That hasn't been a problem lately. I don't know whether he changed something or whatever, but number 4 there. That'll wake me up in the middle of the night when it turns over. Obviously, the big trucks make noise, but the GPS suburban vehicles, no, there's no perceptible noise. Nor am I detecting anything atmospheric happening. I'm not getting exhaust. It's no worse than it was. The thing is, if these vehicles are coming down the hill, particularly if they're coming down the hill and they're going to slow to the appropriate speed for Carter Street, they're going to be braking anyway. They should be braking. So there's no difference whether you have a stop sign or not as long as people are obeying the law. In terms of noise and exhaust and everything else, it's the same. The Highland Ridge business will come to an end. I don't know if I can survive long enough for that, but and I want to remind people again that the earthworks permit for Highland Ridge requires all of those vehicles from the entrance to the development, 62, to go 15 miles an hour. And the town is not doing enough on that front. I mean, there needs to be some action taken, because we have, you know, that permit was given in 2021, I think late spring. And the developer has completely flaunted it, just completely ignored it.
That's all
Fabulous.
commercial vehicles?
All of the vehicles involved in that site
So the
are supposed to,
plasterers and all those
everybody,
guys?
they're supposed to be going 15 miles an hour per the earthworks permit. I sat in on those hearings.
Wow.
So, you know, if you, and for us, I'm hearing, which I wouldn't have known but for Chief Stady here, that our volume is significantly lower than, let's say, Pleasant Street. But the nature of it, a lot of it is focused on that development. And And I've said a couple times here, and I'll say it again tonight, that I think one of the options, long-term, as we look at complete streets, is to have Carter Street between Walnut and Highland, one-way northbound. And if you can do it with an exception for local residents, that would be terrific. But I think that that's a long-term solution that bears some thought.
Well, that would take care of the narrow
It's-
danger issue.
That's the problem. You're either gonna have to take houses out to comply with complete street, or you're gonna have to consider that possibility. It's not a two-way street for the kind of vehicles we drive today.
Right.
Well, I mean, I just know how much land they took on 117 in Bolton.
Exactly,
This last, I mean, we lost half their front yards
yes,
in the center of town to put the bike lane in, the parking,
exactly.
and the 2 lanes and the sidewalks. I mean, when I was a kid, 117 was 2 lanes and sidewalk was out pretty
Right.
much where the fog line is now. And,
Oh, man.
I mean, I know, I feel like it.
So you're saying one-way northbound from Carter? So,
From the
so the
library,
people coming southbound,
would have to make a left somewhere.
oh,
Or
from
not-
the
or
library
not-
up to, I mean,
They'd have to make a left on the Carter. going
on the
to-
Carter, and then try to
St.
make the
John's.
left out on the 62 around the corner there?
Yes, sir.
Awful.
At least it's much safer in the center. People should be calming down to the 20 miles an hour, but they're coming by the church and, you know, they don't take time to do the sign of the cross at 45, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, right. So this is another comment to the town. What were we thinking, putting that many dwellings on the top of the
Well,
hill?
I think-
Given what this infrastructure looks like, and there's only one road in and out.
I just like your information on the 15 miles an hour. I'm embarrassed to say I did not know that. Maybe that's a channeling information. I don't want to get, I'm going to openly say it. I did not know that because I constantly go up and talk to those drivers and I'm embarrassed and I should
Well,
know
but
that.
it's, I mean, it's not enforceable under chapter 90.
We can't enforce it. That's an agreement, just like the trucking on Brownsville Road is not enforceable. So it's up to you with the permits and things. Everyone thinks we can do these things we can't do. But I understand, I feel bad for other people where there's no finite line on some of the trucking coming through town. You know Highland Ridge will max out at some point and there'll be commuter maintenance maybe or something like that. 2 houses up, they put a major road in. So that increased a lot of truck traffic out to 147, to Bauman Roads out there. So that was a lot of traffic. There's 6 houses going over in Bolton, and I know these truck drivers get off at 62 because 117 is terrible. So,
I know, we're getting additional traffic from those other sites.
so there's a major, I look at these vehicles, the signboard does not pick up that I recognize the cement trucks are going to Bolton or to Randall Road. So I don't want to put it all on Highland Ridge. I don't like increased traffic, but there's a finite, it's going to end. That's going to end.
But we're putting in, if it's fully built out, you're putting at least another 100 cars a day on the road, and they're gonna be hundreds.
That's
of
cars, that's not 18-wheelers, cement
Yeah,
trucks.
It's better.
Right.
It's
And there's
better.
going to be another 500 cars from some major things going up in Bolton on Berlin Road
Yes.
with guests and visitors. So we can't stop that, as I always try to tell people. What we can do is through signage, mitigation, safety campaigns, and
Right.
whatever we can do legally on our end.
But we need to be thinking about the center of town, in the complete streets context, sitting next to, and about how this is gonna work. And is there a way to bypass that area? We gotta think about that.
Can I speak to Mary's comments about the stopping? So my experience is most people don't stop. They slow down, but they don't stop. And my comment, I don't want to be disrespectful in any way, but those noise, that stop sign is directly in front of my house. So that noise is much greater, you hear it or not. And I would like to say that, you just pleaded with, please don't put speed bump because of my car. Well, I'm gonna say, please take the stop signs away because I have a lung disease. Okay, because of the exhaust, because it is worse. You're more worried about your car than the health of the people in the neighborhood.
Well, I do think the traffic trees are engineered, but we've never had a problem on Gates Pond that I've been aware of.
No,
Anybody
I mean-
bottom out?
With vehicles.
Yeah,
Well, you can
but-
see scourge marks, but it's because,
Yeah.
some could be from the snowplow going over,
Yeah.
some could be just from people not slowing down and their undercarriages bottoming out.
I have a low rider, I can go over those bumps. You go slow and you're fine.
So great, put it in front of Emily's house.
Well, I just want, I just,
And I'll turn, I'll go the other way.
I mean,
Go down the
other-
ultimately,
I'll make a left at
ultimately,
St. Joe's.
like if I think of traffic trades, I think of one between the library and the first house there.
Quinn's.
Quinn's.
Yes.
You know, putting one basically where the traffic sign is, and another one on the other side of the railroad tracks, in between the Muni's White House and the Verizon building. You know, put one there. That way it stays out, but slows people down to start up again.
But yeah, considering she put it in though, if somebody hits those at high speed and doesn't realize it's there, they're gonna be airborne, where's that car gonna go? The vehicle gonna
Yeah,
go?
I mean, that's all stuff the engineers have to.
Exactly.
We haven't had that happen on Gates Pond Road. I can tell you that.
It's flat, right, it's not on a hill.
No, there was one on the corner.
On the corner.
well, I don't know if we're all collecting votes. I mean, I didn't see, my opinion was that I don't want stop signs. I don't think we needed stop signs. I don't know how the stop signs ever got put up. Nobody ever went around the neighborhood and said, hey, we're thinking of putting up stop signs. What does everybody think?
Actually, this committee asked me to take a petition, I took it, and pretty much everybody in the neighborhood signed it, and then several people recanted after signing.
Because they didn't know what they signed. They
I-
weren't aware.
Well.
Yeah, I was
it-
one.
I think the most of the
It
people
was a
recanted.
petition to put the 3 stop signs.
Right,
up.
but I think most, what you said was people recanted. I think most of the people recanted when we found out what it was, because I don't think it was something that you just sign this and we'll be good.
Well, can I say?
Well, no, the other thing I wanted to say was, Mary, you had said something I thought was interesting, is that the cars are coming down the hill and they're gonna slow down anyways, because they have to slow down
Right.
before they stop. Well, they have to slow down. I think what people do is they slow down. When you see the blinking light and you see the speed, because you don't know that you're coming to a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit ahead. You're in a 35, and when you're 35, you're really probably going 45, but you know you need to slow down. And I think that those blinking signs are really a good communication device, in addition to some of the things that Officer Goody said. And I don't think that we gave that, unfortunately, the signs went up so quick, and then we get the flashing signs, so now we have corruptible data. You know, what is really bringing people to go within the speed limit? Because, and then I know there's gonna be more cars. We're gonna have more cars, and I understand that, but at some point, I don't know why we're putting a stop signs in. I guess I don't really know why.
So Keith, I sent an email into the committee back in April with my observations, and one of them is that those flashing signs only worked initially, and once people realized there was no penalty, they just ignored them. So I watched the traffic pattern around both of the signs. And so the people who are familiar with the road, familiar with the signs, they know that they're not getting pulled over. They know there's not an officer sitting there. It's just a light flashing at them, and they just keep going.
I'd like to see data
In the
on that.
beginning,
Yeah, no,
the first week, they were effective, and then after that, they weren't.
I still slow down. I
Yeah.
see it.
I do-
Well,
I do
yeah,
too.
but we
That's why I want to
live
see
there.
data.
Yeah.
Because I think we all have, you know, it's, what do you call it? It's, whatever your opinion bias, it's like this
Yeah.
well-documented thing. If you think that this is what it is, then that's what you see, you know what I mean? And I do it, you do it, we all do it. So I just would love to see the statistics on what is it, if we, when we take the stop signs down, what is it? Or if we could have gotten the data from the April when they went up or whatever to May 15th or whatever, when the stop signs went in, what does that data say? I'd be very interested.
Yeah, they probably weren't up that long, but I don't know, I mean, because I really find that this, a blinking light does more for me than coming to a stop sign. And I mean, I guess I'm biased against not feeling like we needed the stop signs. Sorry, Anna.
So,
My concern though is like, okay, you slow down when you see the blinking light, but then once you pass it, you're right back on that pedal.
I think because of the road, like we've all said, it's so tight that I don't, you don't go fast because the road is too tight. I think it might be different
but
going
some
up.
people do.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, and that's
they're in
again,
big
But
vehicles.
is it that 3% or 6 or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, we're never gonna fix stupid. You know,
Why not?
if it's gonna be 3%, if it's gonna be that
I live in
3%,
Holton. I live in Holton.
then we can't fix that. You know, whatever that percentage is on the chart, okay? Because if 97% of the people are somewhat obeying, you're always gonna have that 3% of that not going to. And they're just gonna have to be stopped by the police, you know, or reported somehow, like the black truck. I can never get the guy's plate. But,
I'll work on it, Walter.
Can I also, I just want to add too, in terms of my opinion, like, yeah, I was one of the people that signed the petition because I thought that that was going to start a process. I didn't think, like, you sign it, it was going to talk about what are we going to do about the speed problem? Because, you know, I love our neighbors, I love their neighbors on the other side, they both have young children, and yeah, we should do something, but I didn't realize that, you know, stop signs would go up, didn't realize the noise, the congestion, you know, and so, yeah, I agree that something should be done. I think the flashing lights, I would like some data just on the flashing lights without the stop signs to see, because my guess is if they're under 10 miles an hour, I just feel like that's reasonable. That's fine. Our kids grew up in that neighborhood, and it is frightening when they're under 5. You know, once they're old enough to have some sense and obedience, then you can
When's
relax
that?
a little.
As a parent, I'm just curious, what age is that?
But
Yeah,
we don't raise
it's
kids
it's
yet.
worse.
Our kids have all grown up in this neighborhood. We've been in the
My
neighborhood for
kids are
26
5,
years.
you know, they're-
Yeah, I just think that the traffic has exponentially increased over the last 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
You know, we've seen a lot
Yes.
more traffic coming through,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, the tough part is, like, I'd love to move that sign that's closer to the library. I'd love to move that closer to the intersection.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to violate people's, you know, the light pollution with the thing flashing and lighting up the front of their houses either. You know, I mean, those are actually set in the lowest lumens possible. The one on 62 is set at a high lumen, obviously because it's on 62 and cars are traveling faster, roads wider, we want to get more attention, but, you know, if there was a place where we could put the sign closer to the intersection, I think that'd be fantastic, but I just don't think these signs would be appropriate with the amount of flashing it does. I mean, we can knock the flashing off completely. It doesn't have to flash, we just come up as a solid speed. I think the flash is what catches people's attention. But, you know, and then like Goody said, I mean, we'd love to have these things permanent and not run out. I mean, I was out of work last week, you know, more sick days last week than I did in 27 years of my career. And, yeah, I come back and all the signs are dead. I'm like, no. You know, so that was the first thing we did yesterday, you know, we ran around and we replaced all the batteries. And,
So Chief, I'd be happy to run a power line from that pole over to my house. It'd be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, unfortunately, they only take 2 types of power, and it doesn't come through extension cord, so, you know, either comes off a high power line or comes off of solar. So, and, you know, like I said, I've been speaking with the company. They're trying to sell me 4 new signs versus giving me 4 solar panels for the now considered old signs, because we've had them for a year. It's old technology now, but, you know, I'm hoping that we can, you know, utilize the poles, because the poles themselves cost almost as much as the traffic sign itself to install. Well, that's not even installation of the DPW, so.
Eric, can we add anything else? I mean, I succumbed to the smiley faces and the other things in Bolton and Lancaster. They went with the permanent signs. It looks like a little better quality sign. They spent a little more. And I tend to, when I see the smiley face, I feel rewarded. That's
do
back to
love
my
that
statement,
smiley face.
my statement about, you know, children live here, a combination of effort and changing up. You get bored with the same thing. 1 week if it's blinking, the next week if it's not blinking. I mean, what can we do as little, you know, things to make it offset and catch people's attention?
So we need a fully backed up warrant article to,
Well, I
Put
mean,
the signs in place, yeah.
we could put in for ARPA funding as well, you know.
oh, okay, so yeah, that's right, we
Yeah,
could.
yeah, we could put in for
Yeah.
ARPA funding, you know. That's what I'm hoping before Monday to have a price from the company that provide us these signs for 4 sets of solar panels, and that way they're powered all the time.
What kind of money are you talking with those?
Anywhere between $1,700 and $3,400 per sign.
Yeah. I think the ones we had were 12, if my memory
Right now,
serves me right.
12.
So where does this money currently come out of, like the police department budget or the DPW budget?
No, it came out of a special town article
Stuff.
originally.
All right. And if people are seeing it and they receive for quality of life, present it the same way. And if it's a little bit more money to get quality products, to keep the village the way you want it, then put it to the people. I believe sincerely they would support funding the right equipment.
I mean, I'd love to put 2 on South Street, 2 on South Street, 2 on Gates Pond Road, 2 on Lancaster Road, you know, all of our, what we consider hotspots that are always a problem.
But it can't hurt to put the proposal through. I'd certainly support it on the FinCom side of things. And I think might end up in your lap, Anna, too.
Yeah, I think we'd be fine with it,
Yeah,
give people what they want.
yeah, I just think, you know, I mean, unfortunately, Berlin, because of their size, our grants don't cover that many roads,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't see many grants come up for traffic signs.
But there still are ARPA opportunities.
Yeah, there is, yeah, because I don't think all the ARPA funds have even come in yet. So there's still, I don't think you even spent anything.
I've not been paying attention on that.
They have not spent anything yet, so they
Right.
have to get our approval.
And we don't
Yeah.
have-
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing, because, I mean, what they said was basically they don't want any recurring costs off of expenses. You know, obviously there would be a recurring cost for probably 5 to 7 years for the solar panels, but,
It fits the bill for ARPA.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it definitely fits the bill for an ARPA allotment, so.
So, Chief, remember when we first had our first meeting, you said that these stop signs were temporary?
Yep.
Like he said, they went up sort of faster than the date we were told.
Yep.
Then we were told they were gonna be up for, I think,
Couple months. Yeah,
90 days or something.
Yeah, we're at,
Are they coming down soon?
The 90 days would be in August. Yes, what did we put them up for at the end of May?
Yeah, it was right.
Yeah, so June, July, yeah, it'd be towards the end of August.
I like the idea that Maureen brought out.
One second.
Go ahead, I'm
Will they
sorry.
be taken down in August?
Yeah, we'll actually discuss that, we'll have to vote on that as a committee. We'll have to vote on that, if we're gonna take them down and recommend it to the select board to take them down.
Just to put it in perspective, in terms of surprise, I put in my original request in August of 2020 for the stop signs, both at that intersection and at Randall Road and Highland. And so I've been patient for a long time. I know, you know, we've had them up 3 months. It would break my heart to have them come down.
Well, I think that
I mean, I've really fought. for
as the
safety
neighborhood,
in
we were
this neighborhood.
misinformed on the date of when they were being put up. We were told they weren't gonna be put up, and they were put up.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna be
Next
June
day.
1st, and they went up
Yes.
a week earlier.
Yeah, and I can take ownership of that, because that's something that falls on the highway department, and that was the only time we had that we could do it, because everything we had scheduled. So,
You did mention that before.
yeah, that's why they went up before any notices got sent out and everything.
So if it's a temporary basis, why would it have to be a vote to come down? Wouldn't temporary be a 90-day, say, if they would, we were told it's a temporary 3-month test after 3 months, wouldn't they automatically come down? Why is there a vote? There wasn't really a vote to put them in.
No,
That's what I'm- that's the only part I'm
We
trying to understand.
voted to put it towards the board to put them up. You know, we made a vote, and then, you know, we'd have to make a vote to ask the board to take them back down.
So you
So I
can't
think
ask
the
for
vote
90
isn't
days.
It's not our
neighborhood,
vote.
it's not a community vote, it's a board
with the
vote.
committee.
I sit on the committee, I'm not a voting member, I'm a liaison to finance, so I don't even vote on these things.
Yeah.
No, I was just trying to help
But the
Jeff.
committee,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the committee votes, the committee votes on it, the standing members of the
Yeah.
committee vote.
What's that
What were
committee?
you gonna say?
Traffic safety.
Well, I like what Maureen said, and that is to see the difference of data when the signs are not there. The stop signs are not there. I just think that's a good way of looking at it, that's all. I like what Emily, her situation, again, is that the traffic would go from 0, which is right now it stops, most people stop, to back up to 25 miles an hour, just going through the intersection. And so that's why she's concerned with having the dogs and cats and children.
Can I keep my stop sign and Jeffy can lose his? Can we meet in the middle?
That's a suggestion.
Walter, I wanted to talk, because I think
I like that.
Eric said that this data reflects without the stop signs. He said that because they are so far away from the stop signs already that all the data that we have reflects not even having the stop signs because they're such a distance away from the stop. So that answers, you know, what you're, because he had said that. So we have.
Well, I think
so we have
Can
that
you do
data.
it one-way stop?
Oh, I'm sure you could.
Just,
Well, it's an interesting suggestion, because, I mean, right now, what we've got is people complying in general with the speed limit coming north
And not
to a
so much.
significant degree.
Yes.
So if you took away that stop sign going north, does that accomplish anything?
Yeah, I mean, we're at 99.82% within a,
And then you continue to run your evaluation and see what the impact is of that stop sign disappearing in terms of that speed limit and the impact on the neighborhood as well.
Yeah, but I think what you're saying is to
No.
remove,
Yeah,
you know, if we're calling them
The
Emily's
north
and
one.
Jeff's or, you know,
Yeah.
Mary's stop sign, you were suggesting removing the one that she thinks is.
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
so Tim,
but I'm reacting to what I'm seeing in
The
terms
data?
of speed. though.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see whether there's any impact of removing the sign in terms of what does happen with the speed.
so I think one of the reasons you've got the northbound blinking light versus the southbound one, the northbound one is right after that first block when you turn on 62. And people are going, they're ramping up their speed at that point, they're going more slowly. In contrast, on the southbound side, you've got people coming off the hill.
I know
So-
that,
So
I mean,
that, you know,
that's
there's 85 versus 67. right?
clearly, that's what's going on. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you could move the sign to collect data further up, closer to the intersection, that'd be fine, but it doesn't sound like that's a good idea in terms of the impact on the neighbors. You could move the sign, collect the data, and turn the light to the point where it doesn't flash. I mean, there's a bunch of things we could experiment with.
But does it need to be on a pole? I mean, because there aren't any poles right on the right-hand side of the street, so what do you put up you put a highway stick?
well, that's when we have to put up a OSHA-regulated
Yeah.
3-inch
Three-
aluminum pole with a
3,000.
breakaway and
$1,000 pole.
6,000 PSI concrete and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we
it.
don't have, all we have is just a regular U-channel post.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flashing sign.
And Walter, you know, we're calling it Emily's sign, but that sign, I think, Freddie, you said last time, if they were to stay, really open, if they don't, that would be going right, wouldn't even be in front of your house, Emily, it would be right next to Walter's walkway, right?
Right.
Because the distances aren't set.
Yeah.
So that would be right up,
Be
right
worse.
beside his walkway. In your front
Well, that
yard.
doesn't make sense though, because then it's right in the middle of the intersection.
No, it's the right
No.
setback,
Yeah.
Fred.
Yeah, that's a tough intersection to put a sign in, huh? With all the houses and driveways and walkways.
Well, that big tree too.
Somebody's,
Yeah.
yeah, or a tray, yeah.
It would be more effective with lines painted. I
Right,
think
yeah.
you get better compliance on the stop signs with the lines in place.
You can't even see the stop sign with the speed limit coming down that hill because it is.
No, it's just so many signs, there's more signs, there's a no passing sign. I'm not sure why we have that up there.
Because of the number of people that pass
Yeah.
when you're doing the speed
Yeah,
limit.
yeah. No, that's coming, yeah, that's like, it's behind a pole, behind a tree, and all of a sudden it says no passing, you're in the intersection. you know?
And you have to have one on each side of the street.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know, I mean, I'd like to get, I wiped all the data out of all of them
What
today.
about a blinking light? Is that like, whoa, no, don't do that. A blinking light right over
You mean a
the,
traffic light
yeah,
hanging over the
Like a
intersection?
Yeah.
yellow.
I don't know, I mean.
Yeah, I don't know if they even make those anymore.
I like that old school one in Clinton.
Yeah.
You can just go out.
Yeah.
With the
yeah.
candle in it down at the base of the dam?
Yeah, I like that one.
That's
Right.
right.
I want that one.
Yeah,
Chrissy.
yeah, you're gonna have to
I
fight
said,
Chrissy for
I'll
that
pay
one.
for it, I want it.
We've got our own historical one right there at 62.
Isn't it, yeah, right at 62, isn't there?
No, they changed those all.
That's been hit so many times, that's only,
Yeah.
that's gone twice a year,
Is it?
Blinky.
From
Is that like
trucks,
Woody?
like to take it out?
You mean on the Linden and Central and West? That one? Yeah,
Oh.
you can guarantee an accident there every single storm.
Yeah, we haven't had a light on in the median there for years.
Oh.
The overhead traffic lights.
I was thinking an overhead.
Oh, you're talking about the
Yeah,
one in the meeting.
I was thinking an overhead.
Yeah.
Not that I don't know what that would do, other than be another blinking thing that means slow down and, I don't know.
At
And annoy you at
97% of the people.
Yeah, and annoy you right in the middle, yeah. So I don't understand how much, like, light pollution those things would give off.
No, they get pretty obnoxious.
Really?
Yeah.
But they face,
Well, yeah, the way we have them, they're facing away.
They're kind
But where we'd like to put them would actually be in front of the, I'd like to put it closer to the intersection.
yeah, so it'd be in front of my house or something.
But it'd be in front of people's houses, and it'd be another,
of, the proper pole mounting, cutting trees, revisibility, all the other things, there's a lot of things that have to go into place. But if you sit in somebody, there is people have commented to me in their house, they're getting the blink while they have the news on, you know? It looks like breaking news on Channel 5. So I understand that, so he reduced it as much as he could.
I think in the winter, I would get the blink from
Yeah.
the one on my side of the street,
yeah.
because with the leaves gone, it would come right through. We
Oh.
get the street light.
Oh, okay.
It's way down.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Mhm.
All right, so like I said, I erased all the data, started fresh today. I'd like to get 4 weeks of data with the signs. And then, if the committee wants to, I wouldn't mind taking the signs down and getting the data 4 weeks following. And then we can revisit the data and see if there's any increase or decrease in it. I think that'd be the fair way to do it. Like I said, just today, I went around with the laptop and cleaned them all up. So I can get a solid 4 weeks, and they just looked at 4 weeks, it's the 31st of August. And then I can work it out with the DPW to take them down, take all the data off the signs and reset them again. And then we can go from there to September, let me see if I can get there. Yeah, I'll give us till basically September 28th, 29th, September 29th to revisit the data.
How do you think that's gonna, you guys would know better than I, but like, back to school traffic and everything, is we gonna have the same amount of traffic in August and September, or does it change?
And, I haven't seen a huge difference in that area during school.
There's not in that area as much, I mean, there's a lot more
Yeah,
kids
no.
dropped off at school than there ever was, and we have a lot, the population's growing on the school, but there's a lot, the cars are backed out onto South Street now, as you enter kindergarten, you see it, we never had that before, so there was a lot more transported by vehicle versus bus.
Thanks.
Oh, I'd just like to thank you. I like the idea of doing, 4 weeks clean now and then 4 weeks without stop signs so we can compare what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and you just look at the calendar, we can set the next date for October 5th for the traffic safety laws.
And what does the town have to do, there's a separate topic about getting solar panels for those two.
So hopefully I'll have a price for Monday, and I can present it. I'll have to send something to capital planning, and then I have to present it to the board as well.
You think you're
It's
doing a
just-
fundraiser, Walter? You think you're doing a
I'll do a
fundraiser?
fundraiser, yeah. No, it's just that, we lose data because they'll be off for 2 or 3
Right.
days.
Yeah.
We just lose data, and it's
Yeah.
not that much. But I just want to throw that out there, I was just curious.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. They are difficult because they're unpredictable,
Right.
how long they're actually gonna last.
Yeah.
They have been definitely unpredictable.
It's not just the solar panel, it's the actual sign that matches it and needs
Oh,
to stand.
really?
So,
It's not just a
obviously,
solar
I
panel you connect
wanted
to?
to, have a highway, find some posts and things like that around. I wanted to put some sleeves in the ground and say, can we move these around up to Lancaster Road or do something like
Ah,
that?
okay.
Because of the liability, just like, as you know, residents can't put signs up, and I question that we can put those on the poles, to be honest with you, but that's, town council can decide on that. But there's actual specific crash-related people, you know. There's a group of lawyers that have sat together for insurance companies that design. The poles themselves are designed to break at a certain speed, and things like that, so it's not that easy. I thought the old PVC at Lowe's, and you and I could cement them in, and we could move them around, because that would break it up and change it, so people get a different message and would comply a little bit more, just like
So it's a whole new light, everything.
Well, the light can go on the pole, it's just that the pole is not cheap,
All right.
and it's pretty time consuming, you know, for the DPW, but.
And we could do better on data collection. There's other systems. I remember Pete Galvin running through options.
Yeah,
Is there any way to do a test with the, I know they have those trays that just sort of nail into the road, right?
yeah, I don't think they're cost effective, I think they're almost the same price as a regular tray.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, I think
Because I've
so.
seen them like at schools, I wonder if we could put one of those in that,
Yeah.
on each side, like what you were saying, to see if that was the data on that.
Yeah, I mean, the one we have at school is a speed bump, you know, but, you know, traffic trays are actually like 6 feet wide.
Yeah, in the graduals, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's actually, the one we have at school is a speed bump.
Right, and that comes out.
Yeah, that comes out every winter, yeah.
Oh, and- yeah.
Thank you.
So-
All right, just a quick question. If we wanted to try, you know, these little, the little slow, there's a kid here, you know, in the neighborhood. So if we wanted to try that, it would I just want to get thoughts, because I would purchase one with $30, like 48 inches high or 36, whatever they are. But I would assume we don't want that to mess with our other stuff, or does it matter? I just want to throw it out there.
I mean,
So
you
wanna
can
be
put it in your own yard, it doesn't, you know,
Can't put it in the street.
you just can't put it on the street.
Yeah, wheels, we're thinking of wheels.
We got like,
Yeah.
somebody's going over 40, maybe just,
Yeah, remote control.
Can I roll balls?
We
across
can't,
the street?
you know, it's there
Okay.
against liability.
yeah.
There's easements and it changes, and for each one of your houses is different measurements as to what is town property, what isn't, but you can't put it in the, you know, but
No, no,
if it's
you
on
put
a
it on your-
lawn
yeah.
or on your driveway, it's visible, you know, like I said, certain signs catch my attention, and moving it, you know, rotating it from neighbor to neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay, we can.
You can put clothes on it, stand there.
So this morning, I've heard it recommended the human speed bump, you know, when you're standing in the middle of the road talking to somebody.
Well, that's Jeff. Jeff usually jumps out in front of the car.
Oh, I throw my
But you know-
mail sometimes.
But I do think you want to keep Chief's experiment clean.
Okay,
Just look at,
that's
don't
what I
change
mean. I wanted to be
anything.
respectful. I'm not, you know, I'm not rushing into it, but I love the idea. I do think, when I go, it says like, play as if, I mean, drive as if your children play here, or
Yeah, exactly.
drive as if your children live here.
I accelerate.
I like those.
No,
But-
but the 4 weeks on and off to really get a sense, is there something happening here? I think that's useful to know.
Yeah, so that's fine. I can wait.
And
And then the other
I think
thing,
the only stop sign we're gonna leave up is the one coming up Carter.
from
From-
Wheeler's
from
Garage.
St. Joe's.
Wheeler's Garage.
Yeah.
Leave that one up there. I mean, we should actually probably even paint the line for that right into the road.
You want it, we'll paint it tomorrow.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense,
yeah.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
because that's the dangerous.
We've had a car
You
in the
have to
front yard.
stop.
Yeah.
not surprised.
So the question, I think, I forgot that what Jeff had raised about where the stop, if and when, or if they ever become permanent, where do the stop signs actually go? What does that do to any of the parking in the neighborhood? And to share that with the people that it's gonna affect.
The only one that actually is gonna get moved is the one that goes right in front of his house.
Okay,
We put it where we did because it would be blocked by the ash tree and the neighbor right there where the mailbox is. So you wouldn't see that at all until you came to it. So that's the only one that would get
and
moved.
would that tree come down?
Most likely it would come down. There would be advanced warning
I
signs.
want the
coming
wood.
Down. You can have the wood. We'll take the brush, you can have the wood. So there'd be the advanced warning sign coming down the hill. That says stop sign ahead. And we'd have the markings in the street.
It's weird because the stop sign coming down the hill in front by Mary's house doesn't seem like it's in this intersection. Because it's a
where
rounded
the
curve.
intersection
Yeah,
runs,
it's like, I
yeah.
can't tell. So I was
Well, it's
wondering if
taken
that
by
was
the-
even kind of like guesswork.
No, that's where that one goes.
That's in Jimmy's yard, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
It's
is,
in Jim's yard.
Jimmy's yard, yeah.
but it's blocked anyway by that.
Blocked by another
That's
no
the-
passing sign,
Yeah,
right?
that
Which is
is a
in my yard.
telephone pole right there.
So might you take some of that stuff down if you were to put us?
Well, we can't take the no passing sign down.
Uh,
That's a regulatory sign.
Okay.
All we can do is put the advanced warning sign up in front of it.
And then what does it do to the
Black truck
parking?
traffic everywhere.
What are the rules, the things that come along with that?
Parking on the street, what does that do with the stop signs when or if they
Well,
become?
whether the stop signs are there or not, there's no parking in an intersection,
Right.
so it doesn't affect the parking.
Except for the guy across the street.
Yeah. But then that's 20 feet within the intersection, but where does the intersection start? Does it start at the stop sign, then his 20 feet, he's beyond 20 feet,
Oh,
but
it's only 20
where does it start, where it squares off, I mean, I don't know.
I thought you said it was 50 feet from the sign.
You're-
Last
20.
meeting you said that.
No, I think it's,
Gosh, let's not go nuts.
yeah, I think
No, that's
it's,
what I'm saying, I didn't know what it was.
yeah.
We got enough laws in our life.
Well, I'm pretty sure when I went through Driver's Ed, it was like 10 feet within an intersection.
Yeah.
You couldn't park.
Mhm.
I think that's what I was.
Yeah, I can't remember, we have the parking regulations.
Yellow paint.
We don't even have the parking
Yeah.
citations yet, so
I don't,
it's still on the.
I drive in Boston, Cambridge, and I'm shocked, I don't know what to do with bike lanes. And I've interviewed all 3 driving schools, kids just in and says, are they teaching you anything? No.
No.
Yet there's this big campaign and all these people, I've not seen anything in legal updates for the mass training we get, but there's this big campaign, so I'm like, is someone gonna let us know, what to do or educate the kids? So it's once again, cart in front of the horse. I agree, but what do I do?
So, Chief, are we picking a date for another meeting?
October 5th. Do we have to do a motion on
Yeah, I'll move that we meet on October 5th.
Seconded.
that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Is that at the same time?
Unanimous? Yeah,
5:30?
5:30, yeah.
Same place?
Same place. I think
Pizza?
this room is more intimate than being upstairs.
Delivering day.
Yeah, I guess you are. Gosh.
You guys got more business to do?